The first thing Alessia Grant noticed when she stepped into the sunlit courtyard restaurant was not the soft clinking of glasses, not the warm daytime breeze drifting between the marble pillars, and not even the excited chatter of her twin children tugging at her hands. It was the sudden, sharp jolt in her chest, the kind that stops the world for a heartbeat and makes every buried memory crash back in a single breath. Because sitting at a corner table, alone, thinner than she remembered, was the man she once promised forever to. Her ex-husband. Rowan Hale. If you believe in kindness, forgiveness, and second chances, make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Good Soul. Alessia swallowed the storm rising in her throat and guided her 7-year-olds, Kieran and Leora, toward their seats. She had built a new life, built it with grit, with scars hidden beneath tailored elegance, with nights she refused to cry even when everything inside her begged to break. She was a millionaire now, owner of a design firm praised worldwide, but none of that came easily. And none of it erased the years she spent raising her children alone while Rowan drifted through mistakes he couldn't undo. She thought she was over him. She truly did. Yet a single glimpse of him in that bright courtyard felt like opening a locked room inside her heart she never wanted to enter again. The twins were pointing excitedly at the fountain centerpiece, unaware of the emotional tremor shaking their mother. Alessia tried to focus on their joy, on the sunlight dancing across their smiles, on the normalcy she had fought so hard to give them. But her eyes kept drifting back to Rowan. He looked older, quieter, as if he carried a weight that no success or money could ease. His shoulders slumped with regret, not exhaustion. His eyes were fixed on the glass of water in front of him, untouched, like a man trying to drown in memories he couldn't escape. Alessia had come far. But she had never prepared herself for this. As the waiter left their table, she fought to steady her breath. She remembered the nights when bills piled higher than hope, when Kieran was sick and she had no one to hold the thermometer with her, when heartbreak had carved deep, unseen lines in her spirit. Rowan hadn't been cruel, he'd been lost. But being lost had cost her everything. She resented him for it. And part of her still loved the version of him she once believed he could be. Then it happened. Kieran accidentally dropped his fork, and it clattered loudly across the stone floor, rolling directly to Rowan's feet. Rowan bent to pick it up, and when he lifted his head, his eyes met his son's. Not a flicker of confusion. No question. Just recognition so raw it felt like sunlight burning through fog. Because although the twins had grown, their faces carried shadows of Rowan, the unmistakable shape of his smile. Rowan stood slowly, trembling just enough for Alessia to notice. He walked toward their table as if the air around him resisted, heavy with every year he'd been absent. Alessia stiffened, preparing for anger, apologies, or excuses, anything she'd heard before or feared hearing again. But when Rowan reached the table, he didn't look at Alessia first. He looked at the children, eyes glistening, voice cracking in a way that did not belong to pride, shame, or hope alone. It was something deeper. Something breaking. Alessia braced herself, expecting the twins to pull back in confusion. But instead, Leora reached out to him, not because she knew him, but because she sensed the sincerity in his gaze. Children could feel truth before adults believed it. Rowan gently touched her hand, not as a father reclaiming something he lost, but as a man realizing how much he had forfeited. Alessia felt something shift inside her. Not forgiveness. Not yet. But something softer than anger, something warmer than resentment. She could see he wasn't the same man who had left. He looked humbled. Human. Hurting. He whispered, almost to himself but loud enough for her to hear, "I never stopped loving them. Or you. I just didn't know how to stay when I was breaking." His honesty struck her harder than any apology. She saw the hollow beneath his ribs, the quiet regret behind his eyes. People change, she thought. Sometimes too late. Sometimes just in time. Daylight brushed across the courtyard, softening the moment as if the world itself held its breath around them. Alessia still remembered the pain he caused, those memories weren't erased. But watching him now, seeing how gently he held their children's gaze, she realized that life wasn't just about holding on to hurt. Sometimes it was about choosing what to do with the pieces. She invited him to sit. She didn't know why, but she did. They talked, carefully at first, then openly. The twins laughed, Rowan smiled for the first time in years, and Alessia felt a strange warmth filling the spaces where old wounds once lived. She wasn't offering him a place back in her life. Not yet. But she was offering something just as powerful, a chance to show her children that healing is possible, even when history hurt. And maybe, a chance for herself too. If this story touched your heart, please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Good Soul. Your support helps more people experience these emotional journeys. Special request, comment below what moment in the story stayed with you the most. As the sun glowed gently across the courtyard and her children's laughter echoed like a promise of new beginnings, Alessia realized something beautiful. Sometimes life gives you a second chance, not to rewrite the past, but to shape the future with softer hands and a braver heart.